Welcome to Live Action Star Wars Presents Data Link. I'm Ralph.
I'm James.
And today we're just discussing the Star Wars radio drama.
Yeah.
And we should have a guest. I'm hoping he comes because Patrick listened to all 13 of them.
I was going to say, it's a bit of a homework that he's put himself through if he doesn't show up.
Right.
But
right.
It is early for you guys on the West Coast. So
it is.
If he doesn't, we understand.
Let's say hey to everybody in the comments. Oh, it's two. It's Lucha. Hey, Lucha. And our good friends at StreamYard. Dude, okay. So before, I kind of want to get into it.
Yeah.
You haven't heard these before.
This was my first listen through, yeah.
Right. And we decided
here as well.
do this on our next data link, which is
that was the original plan.
February 8th.
Yeah.
Because it's 13 half-hour episodes. So it's a bit of a ask. It's a little tougher than doing like, say, Hardware Wars, which is 13 minutes total.
Yeah, we had a string of just a few where we were like, yeah, let's just do a quick one. It's nice and easy for us. We don't have to worry about it too much.
So I as soon as we announced this last time, that day I popped it in. Yep. And I started listening to the first one. And I started listening to this.
You found a nice link. It was what, archive.org has them all backed up.
I have them all three on my iPhone.
Oh, cool. Nice.
They've been there forever.
Yeah.
But I put them in my books, my audio books.
Cool.
So it keeps track of how much time I have left total. I have it in chapter. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you send me a text or you send me a DM and you're like, I've listened to like 3 of them.
I did 3 the first night, 4 the next night, and finished it up the third night. I couldn't metaphorically put this book down. Like I was hooked. That was all I did those nights.
And so I was like, well, I mean, we could just bump it up 2 weeks.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that we did, because it's been a week, more than a week now since I finished it. And I'm already going like, oh shit, like what was this, that, like little bits that at the time I was like, oh man, I should be making notes of this. But because I was walking around while listening to them and stuff, I wasn't like making notes. But if we'd got another week before talking about this, I would have been like, oh, like want to go back and do them all again, because it's worth doing all again. Like this was, you've listened to these a bunch, right? You know these quite well.
My mom got me them on CD like in, I don't know, like 1993 or something. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what they were. I didn't understand it. And I listened to it and I was like, yeah, it's kind of cool. It's weird. It's not like Star Wars. They changed it.
Yeah. It's wrong.
Thing. Yeah. And then I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago, I finally listened to them. And I was like, oh shit. I think
our friends over at Star Wars Minute, they reference them a lot. Like they're big fans of these. So like it's a lot of the stuff that I know is sort of through osmosis of listening to those guys, and just you hear about this stuff quite a lot. So that's why I like the touchstone that everyone always goes to is you don't follow R2-D2 on Tatooine, you follow C-3PO and you find out how he got into the Soundcrawler.
Yeah.
Which when you think about it, it's like none of us ever. It's not a scene that you need. It's not like everyone's like that missing piece that anyone like. It's not something that needed fixing, quote unquote, in the YouTube.
None of this stuff needs to be there. And in fact, if this was all in the movie, it'd be too much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is 13 half-an-hour episodes or 25-minute episodes, and so you think about like the amount of time that this takes compared to a 2-hour movie, and yeah, of course, there's way too much. Like we go through 2 episodes of this before we even start the movie, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think like it's the original. I've been describing it as the original extended edition but not in an extended edition that you'd get on screen. Like this feels like an expanded novel version of that.
It's season, or it's the finale episode of Clone Wars.
Yeah, I think
the
that's
one
a really
where
good
it takes place. It takes place during episode 3, but it's not the stuff you get glimpses of episode 3 stuff. Sort of,
and you hear some dialogue crossover, like that, and you get the alternate side of the hologram scene. Like you get things like that. I mean, when after that season came out, there was some really good supercuts, and I've watched them a few times now of combining those episodes, that 4-block episode of Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith, and like cutting them in, using the music, using transitions and everything, and they're done really, really well. But yeah, listening to this, I had that same feeling. Like I'd watch this extended version. Like I'd like to see it. I think it would be that would be a really interesting fan film with all your deep fake and everything. Like if you could go back in,
shit.
Like if you could do 1977 Mark Hamill and Biggs, Cammy Fixer, all those guys, like, and you do all of those scenes at Tashi Station to begin with, not just the deleted scene that we have all seen and covered on this show, but if you did all of the stuff before that.
Yeah, even the Tashi Station stuff, even the stuff with Biggs is expanded.
Biggs is like a major character.
Biggs is great. The meeting, and the thing is, like, they shot. Okay, so this is 1981.
Okay,
they shot Star Wars. Empire Strikes Back is out, and we'll get to some of that in a bit. But they'd already shot in the Tashi Station scene.
Yeah, and cut it.
So they could have just lifted that dialogue and put it in.
But and there's snippets of it, like the Luke walking in and sort of the shape it up, you guys. Yeah. And Mark like clearly remembers that scene because his delivery of it, like 4 years later that he's probably recorded this compared to when he filmed that. Like his delivery on certain lines, you can see that he's gone, I'm gonna tweak that, I'm gonna change it. And then there's others that are note for note. They are perfect recreations of exactly what he did before.
Okay. So Mark Hamill, I feel like the reason he did this is because he wanted different takes of his lines.
Yeah, it feels like that. It feels like he's gone. Could do better. He's being his own acting coach.
I don't like the takes George used in the edit.
Or he doesn't like his Station. Yeah.
Or well, I mean, it's his performance.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what
was
if he
on
did
the
same every time, but
that's it.
He's not happy with his performance that George probably chose. But I feel like the first time I noticed it was the Tashi Station line. I know he's always talked about being whiny, and a lot of people bring up that Tashi Station line. But I mean, it in this one, he totally tones it down. And it is weird when they change the lines because it does feel like an alternate reality because it's coming out of his mouth, and it's not quite the same thing. But also because it's for radio and it's not a visual medium, they sort of have to explain things a little more. So they'll drop in like adjectives to like lines, like movie lines, where we're like, okay, so if you've never seen Star Wars before and you're listening to this, you have to understand what happened, and it has to all be through dialogue. And there's only a narrator at the beginning and ending. It kind of reminds me of the Clone Wars guy at the beginning.
Tom Kane
kind of catches you up on what's going on,
or gives you sort of like the moral lesson of like what's going on. Like,
it's exactly a Saturday morning serial.
Oh, totally.
Saturday morning serials would have the crawl, but this is a narrator telling you what the crawl is. And I didn't even think to look to see if the crawl was the 3 paragraphs long, but it seemed to roughly around.
I think it is. Obviously, it's changed quite drastically from the crawl that we get in Star Wars, and it does update as the story goes on.
Yeah.
But I think it certainly, if it's not, then it's close enough to it that it sort of hits that same cadence in his delivery of it. Yeah, it's a Saturday morning serial, but it's, as you said about like having to have more adjectives in there. It's an audio medium, so you have to have characters describing a battle that's going on, or lightsaber fights have, or the lightsaber fight has more dialogue than it even does in the film. And like gun battles, like I think the funniest one for me was when Han and Chewie start chasing down the stormtroopers,
Right.
and it's just the actor who's performing Han Solo just screaming for what it feels like 30 seconds straight. And it's just like, this is hilarious, because obviously we know when we're watching it what like Han is doing, but hearing just the audio of it is like, if someone tuned in at just this exact moment, they'd be really curious as to what the fuck they're listening to.
Yeah, if they're turning the dial. What?
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine if there's someone out there that listened to these that didn't see? Maybe like a grandparent, an elderly person that listens to NPR.
Yeah. Just doesn't have a TV.
I don't know how often. I don't know if they
that.
did radio dramas like every Saturday or every Sunday night or something. I have no idea how this aired.
So over here we've got one of the BBC radio stations. Is it 4? I don't know. One of them is pretty much just all audiobooks and audio dramas all the time. That's all they do. And so I can imagine this probably was syndicated and was played on that at the time, or not there like long after. They still do a lot of things, like a lot of the old like Lord of the Rings versions have been played on there. And yeah, they'll split it up into episodes as they go along. But yeah, I don't know what NPR's schedule was at the time, is now. I'm guessing now they've just got essentially like a butt ton of stations and they can dedicate one to it. But at the time, if it was just, bang, NPR, yeah, maybe.
I could see someone showing if it was their regular radio drama schedule and someone popped in and it was Star Wars and maybe they didn't see the movie, maybe they didn't know about the movie.
Yeah.
It was a phenomenon, and this was like this was after the second movie had already released.
So I didn't know that at the time, and I was wondering, like, I was thinking if this came out in say 78, then the movie's out, the movie's a hit. But production-wise, they already know Boba Fett's going to be a thing. Boba Fett was early in like development of Empire Strikes Back. We know things like Luke and not Luke and Leia necessarily, but Vader being Luke's father, things like that. So there are things in here that lean into it a little bit more, that are hinted at more.
But what's great, this is pre Return of the Jedi, so they don't have all the information.
They don't have Luke and Leia.
No.
Yeah.
They definitely don't have Luke and Leia. Because that still felt a little awkward.
More awkward in this.
I don't think Luke mentions she's beautiful in this one.
He definitely does. When he's talking to Han.
But he's talking about her image is ingrained in his head from the message, but he doesn't say, who is she? She's beautiful. I don't think that line is in there.
Not that particular line, but he does refer to her, and he's definitely like instantly into her just from that holographic image. And then when he's trying to convince Han to go and rescue her on the Death Star, it's like, it's not just she's rich. It's like, oh, she's amazing. She's great. She's beautiful. She's rich. It's like he knows that those things aren't doing it, and it's bang, it's rich that gets there. But yeah, he definitely like leans into the she's beautiful a few times.
Yeah.
I feel like it comes up more in this than it does in the movie.
I feel like George Lucas would have been developing, obviously, Return of the Jedi by this point.
Yeah.
And maybe should have told somebody involved.
I mean, I think after
lean into it so much.
After the leak of Han being Luke's father, though, I think he was sort of a bit more hyper conscious of who knows what at what time.
Yeah.
So you got to think he's probably still feeling a bit hurt because of this guy right here, David Prowse, like, and doing what he did. And yeah, okay, it's the early 80s, so you don't have to worry about that getting onto the internet and spreading wide. I think it was still a shock for the majority of people, but it was out there. And so I think he just doesn't want any of that stuff. And so Luke and Leia being the the equivalent in the next film, I think, is what
I don't
he
know
wants
how
to keep.
involved he was with this. It's just mostly you just hear based on characters created by George Lucas. You don't hear.
Yeah.
And then the thing that sucks is like I was getting to the point because I finished this yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to spread them out, but then I've been busy and I haven't been able to concentrate on it. So I listened to like 3 of them yesterday, and I would skip I got to the point where I was skipping the end credits. Like
I was doing that on a few.
And then skipping the beginning of the next one. And I was like, and then I realized when I finished out episode 13, I was like, oh shit, like I'm missing like voiceover credits.
Yeah.
Like who is in each one. So I had to like go to IMDb and look at everybody. Because the last one, it said like Meshach Taylor and David Alan Grier. Like David Alan Grier was a surprise. I was like, holy shit. Like I love David Alan Grier. And it was interesting to hear actors who are black.
Yeah.
A lot of rebel stuff, some Imperial officer stuff.
I mean, Biggs definitely, right? Like
possibly.
Yeah, but it certainly sounded that way to me. But again, I don't know. I didn't do any sort of credits looking. Like the only credits that I got were when I was laughing and sort of imagining John Madden, the football coach, as the director of this.
Yeah. With his X's and O's.
Yeah, just doing it on a play-by-play. And then of course, Tom Vaguely, the producer, because that's just a funny name, because I want to put a pause in there. It's like produced by Tom Vaguely. It's like he vaguely produced it.
I like the diversity of it, because that's something we kind of notice now. And then Star Wars was kind of notorious for not having any women or people of color. Mm-hmm. Which has been rectified. Absolutely. But like it changed everything. It really felt
it gave really a different cadence to stuff.
Yeah. Some weird stuff too. There's some differences that were weird, where like TK421 was TX421.
That feels like a typo.
Bizarre.
That feels like someone was copying down a script and saw, because you look at a K and you look at an X and it's like someone just copied it down wrong. And I'm just like, okay, they ran with it and no one corrected them. It just didn't get caught in the edit. That was interesting. There was a few. They're blanking on what specifics they were, but there was a few that I was like, that's different. That's wrong.
But unnecessarily different.
Yeah. And then they made some changes that I'm like, that's good. That makes the scene better. Like changing what we now know as the Han and Jabba Ducking Bay 94 scene.
Oh.
And changing that character.
Yeah.
To not be Jabba.
Heater.
Yeah.
Heater.
Which
Heater, I was like, who the hell is Heater? And then they do the scene, which is great because we know that scene now.
Yeah.
Because it was put in the special edition, and it was in From Star Wars to Jedi, the making of a saga. Mm-hmm. But as soon as he approaches Heater, I'm like, oh, this is cool, just a bonus scene. But then he starts speaking some of Jabba's lines, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like Jabba sent out more than just Greedo.
Yeah. And it makes that scene better, if you ask me. Like, it's the sort of thing that if they'd gone in and just changed the I'm right here, Jabba, to I'm right here, Heater. Like, if they just done a line tweak there, it's close enough that you could have done it. And it makes that scene feel less redundant, because that's my problem with that scene more than the CGI, more than anything. It's so redundant because it's the same stuff that he's just told to Greedo. So you change that to another goon and it's fine, because Han's still trying to dig himself out of it. Whereas if he's talking to Jabba, it
shows how big a deal Jabba is.
Exactly.
And since they shot Empire Strikes Back, by this time, and Jabba's mentioned again,
and now the bounty hunters after him,
and you know it's coming like in Return of the Jedi because of the carbonite and stuff, and that's where we left that. It's cool that they left it so that Jabba's still this unknown character until
and it's larger than life,
Jedi.
which is what Jabba was always great before the special editions. It was like the big reveal because we've heard mention of him like all the way through. Yeah, I prefer it as being Heater, and also then you don't need to put in the CG because you just have the big dude in the furry suit. So yeah, if you ever did want to do cosplay as like unspecialized Jabba, you could just be like, I'm Heater. What?
I'm bringing up something right now that I looked up because I was curious to see if anybody did a version of Heater.
Okay.
Heater is in Wikipedia.
Ah.
And let's take a look at Heater. Let's do this share screen. This is what Heater looks like.
I mean, there you go. It's him.
So they just took the actor
perfect
without the CG and made him Heater. So that would have been like
so much better.
They should have just left it in the movie in the special edition.
Yeah. Yep, just change the dialogue. It's easier than changing the effect and having a comp Han over him walking over the tail and things like that.
Because when he says "I'm right here, Jabba," I'm pretty sure they can keep that shot from behind.
Yeah,
and he could say "I'm right here, Heater," but it would be weird. It's a weird bit of dialogue.
It is. Still an unnecessary scene, but it's interesting to know that they could have, or they had a way of potentially changing it. And at this point in time, that's how they were considering that scene, maybe. It's probably because George went, we've got this other scene that was at one time it was going to be Jabba, fine. And then he's like, well, we're going to do a different design and we're going to change up Jabba now for the third one. But if we ever wanted to chuck that scene back in, let's have it just as a different character, as a different heavy who's going to be hassling Han at that point in time. It's an interesting tweak. It's an interesting change. Image that you just brought up
fleshes out everything, fleshes out the character so much more.
Yeah.
With Luke and Biggs, their relationship
so much
more. And then by the time we get to the end,
Biggs and everyone else at Tushy Station as well. Like it's not just Luke that sort of lionizes Biggs. He's everyone's hero there.
Cammy and Fixer. Yeah, Biggs is awesome, but the fact that Princess Leia and Han Solo know about Biggs because he talked about his friend Biggs on the Millennium Falcon, like that stuff was great too.
Yeah.
Like it really shows you how much Luke cares about Biggs. And I want to say,
and Biggs is the reason that Luke went to or wanted to be in the rebellion. It wasn't because of anyone else.
Yeah. And Tank admitted from the line when Biggs and Tank left.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure it just says Biggs.
Yeah.
Like they're just focusing on the Biggs character. And it's so great. Their scene, which was shot in Star Wars, their reunion in Star Wars was shot completely different this time around. Where the reuniting of Luke and Biggs is great in this.
Yeah.
Where Luke doesn't realize that he's talking to Biggs. He's like, I'm supposed to come here to pick up my flight suit or whatever Luke says. And Biggs gives him acts all proper before Luke realizes it's him.
Yeah.
It's a great reunion. And it didn't even occur to me because we get to Yavin by like the second to the last episode. And I'm like, well, then what do we have left? We just have the briefing and the dogfight.
Mm-hmm.
How do we have 2 episodes left? And I'm like, oh shit, they've been talking about Biggs this whole time. And there's a big scene. I'm like, I didn't even think
there's a couple of big scenes.
Adding so much.
There's not just the big scene that we've seen of them in the hangar, which in the movie and what was shot, it seems like that was the reunion there. And again, there's the deleted version of that has the lines from Red Leader about Luke's father and things like that, which were cut because obviously now at this point in 81, they knew that wasn't going to be the case. So you can have another scene with Biggs earlier on when he first gets to Yavin. And it's like, cool. So they're sat next to each other at the briefing, not like Biggs is up front, which I think a comic book has done where it's like Biggs is sat in that front row and he hears I used to bullseye Womprats in my T16 back home. And he's like, I recognize that voice. Like, that sounds like my friend. It can't be. He can't be here. Yeah. it's really interesting. Yeah, Scott D brings up here. Did Biggs go to the Imperial Academy, then leave the academy to join the rebellion instead? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's how it's always been told. Again, Dark Horse did a run of comics called Empire, and one of the first arcs of that was Biggs and I want to say Hobby on the Rand Ecliptic, which I don't know if it was mentioned here, but it was definitely in the original script for Star Wars. Like that was the ship that he was assigned to, and they jumped ship at the same time.
The big stuff in this, it's so prevalent, and it makes me like Luke a lot more. It gets me in a better headspace about Luke. I kind of want to watch the movie again.
Yeah, it made me want to. All of these things always make me
see how it fits in. I wonder if there's a cut, if someone cut the radio drama. I mean, that's really long. I think it's like 4 times as long as the movie.
I mean, yeah, if they, yeah.
But the some of the most interesting things, and you'll notice right off the bat. Well, we start with Luke, I believe, and then the second
Treadwell.
episode,
It's the Luke and Treadwell scene, isn't it? They're out by the moisture evaporator, I want to say,
which was also shot.
That was shot, but then they sort of cut it so that it goes from that to him going straight to Tashi Station.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, we cut away from it and then back to I think it's almost like done like a cold open in the radio drama, because then we do go back before that space battle that he's seeing. Yeah.
The T-16 in Beggar's Canyon.
Yeah.
Like that stuff's fun. Reminds me of playing Rebel Assault 1.
Yeah.
Because you do that exact same thing.
So many games from the 90s, you fly through Beggar's Canyon. Yeah.
It's great showing how Luke is a good pilot, a little bit reckless. Reminds me of Anakin. They talk about this thing threading the needle, which is like they don't really explain how it works, but it's well known that you don't want to thread the needle. You shave just a couple seconds off your time,
but it's really dangerous. Yeah,
but for Luke,
anyone who watched last week's Bad
excited.
Batch, it's similar. Like it's every racing trope ever is taking that shortcut, that dangerous shortcut.
Yeah. And Luke being so excited to tell Biggs that he did it.
And Biggs not being surprised because Biggs believes in Luke. He knows what an amazing pilot and what potential Luke has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy Kelly thinks it should have started. The first one should have been a Princess Leia episode instead of the Luke one. He thought he was listening to him out of order. Yeah, because the second episode is all Princess Leia stuff. And not just on the Tantive. It's
Alderaan.
I mean,
and before Alderaan, even like,
and with their dad, she's on a mission. She's actually on a diplomatic mission.
Yep. It's like it's set like months before.
Yeah.
Because then it jumps ahead, and it's like it feels like they get involved. Like Alderaan gets involved with the rebellion.
I feel like episode 2 should have been played first. But
yeah, I think so. I can see why they did it the other way. Luke
did it the other way
presented as the hero.
Yeah, Luke's the hero, and it's Mark Hamill, and it's more familiar to the movie than the Princess Leia stuff, because the Princess Leia stuff, like,
if you're listening to that, you might think you're listening to not the movie. It's something completely different. Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense, and you understand, like, but yeah, it does make sense. It does make sense to play that one first.
It does.
In fact, maybe if I were to listen to it again,
chronologically, it's definitely first.
Yeah. But that Princess Leia stuff's great.
It's so cool. Obviously, that's the only real stuff. Like, there might be lines and stuff every now and then. That's the only stuff now with the prequels and everything that can't be quote unquote canon, because of the changes that they made to Bail Organa and things like that. But like,
I was listening real hard.
Cool. Yeah,
I was listening real hard to try to like make it fit.
Yeah,
and I feel like with the Obi-Wan series, like it's a little tough with that and the prequels, but I'm like, I don't care.
I don't care. It's great. I love it.
This somehow works. I'm not going to try to figure it out. I'm not going to try to come up with a pegboard with all kinds of like lines to fit in. It just works. That's all that matters to me, is that it works. Maybe the things Bail Organa says aren't true. So much
It's
So much
such
Clone
a
Wars talk.
like there's a yeah, oh so much. We'll get into that. There's a scene like the dinner scene, the sort of the tense stare down with the Imperial officer who's
Oh,
trying to get in Leia's pants and Bale's right there.
yeah.
There's and
That's
it's like
crazy.
it's such like an Inglorious Bastards moment because it's
Yeah.
that beginning of Inglorious Bastards is what that felt like to
He
me.
brings his gun to the table.
Exactly. It's a peaceful planet that doesn't have
Oh,
any weapons, but he's got his gun there and he's onto them a bit, but he's also just like into Leia.
yeah.
And he's so arrogant that I think he thinks he's above any sort of comeuppance for anything that he does or says.
Yeah.
So,
But what's
and
great is
at this
Leia
point, like,
uses that against
yes,
him.
oh, totally, totally, and she comes off as so smart. But then the scene plays out in what would be a very visual way,
Yeah.
of like I can sort of see it, like you're close in on the faces as there's a struggle going on, and then you hear the gunshot, and
Did
you think that Bale's been shot, or you think that maybe Leia's been shot, but because she's saying, "Oh, father, father, father,"
yeah.
and so you're thinking, "Oh shit, he's been shot. Bale's gonna die in her arms. That might drive her to rebellion." But no, it's Bale has like gone full rebel and shot and killed
Yeah.
this Imperial officer.
The both me and Stevie, because we were listening to that while I was like making dinner or something, and we were both like, wait,
Did they
is
just kill
Bale
Bale?
dead?
Yeah.
Like we were both like trying to figure it out. And then we heard him talk, and Stevie was like, no, that's Bale's voice. And it was like such a great cliffhanger that you can't do in a visual medium.
I mean, everyone does it's the person behind the person who takes the shot. Like it's
Yeah.
been done in different ways, and it's now done so often that you sort of I think are expecting it.
Yeah.
But doing it in an audio format it's a cool twist on it because you don't know, you are thrown for a loop. And yeah, I was the same. I was like, oh shit, they killed Bale. Oh no, wait, they haven't. He's alive.
Yeah.
I think they must have done a comic adaptation of this or used stuff from it because when I was looking up that Imperial officer, because the name sounded familiar to me,
Oh yeah.
it was the same artwork as the one that you just pull up for Heater. So there is some visuals to a lot of these scenes out there somewhere.
I wonder if there's a straight up comic book adaptation
of the radio drama.
Maybe.
It's also the sort of thing that they could have used scenes from it in like the Infinities, which were like the twists and the non-canon versions of the original trilogy that Dark Horse did years ago. Maybe. I don't know. I'd like to check it out though, if there is.
Yeah. I don't like moving backwards, but I would love to see them take these and do like Clone Wars animated version of it and just like
visions. Give them to different studios and like just if they don't want to write their own stuff, if they just want to do a weird animation in a different style or something, like do them like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah. There's something I was going to say.
Jeremy Kelly had a really good. I'm thinking that this might be an autocorrect that's changed the infinites to infinitesimal. Like those infinitesimal comics, they're really hard to read because they're so small.
Yeah, Adam agrees that there should be an adaptation of the radio drama. A comic would probably be the easiest, but I just there's all the stuff with Leia is great.
Yeah, she comes off so well. She's performed really well as well. I thought I liked that actress who was playing Leia.
Mm-hmm.
She's got the Carrie Fisher sort of spark to her where she's just taking no shit from anyone.
Was it tough for you getting used to the new voices?
Not tough. I was like, okay, that's a choice. That's a little bit different. Or they went, okay, that's the sort of actor that they went with. I think Darth Vader was the most interesting.
He sounded like Alan Rickman in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah,
Marvin.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what he reminded me of.
I
feel like it didn't bother me.
But no, it didn't bother me.
It didn't bother me, but I would get pulled out of it when they spoke a line directly from the movie, and I'm like, that doesn't sound right. But I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, I'm just looking at what else. How in 2013, 2 special sets of Topps trading cards were released called Star Wars Illustrated, which featured illustrations of scenes from the first Star Wars radio drama. So I'm guessing that those bits of art that we've pulled up are from that. Yeah.
Johnny said it'd be interesting if someone did a visual companion sort of thing that you flip through while you listen to them, like a comic without words.
Yeah, there you go. Like a books on tape sort of style. Yeah.
You can figure out where you are.
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
When they're during that scene with Princess Leia at the dinner table, did you just picture Mon Mothma's dinner table? Because that's what I pictured. I pictured it very similar.
Something close to that. I pictured Bail Organa as the Bail Organa that was cast and then cut from episode 1. That was the visual that I went with. That style, if you've ever looked that guy up. Because there was a Bail.
I had no idea.
There was a Bail. Oh no, that was Bail Antilles. There was the Bail Antilles that they mention in
from Alistair.
No, Bail Antilles was from Alderaan, I want to say. In episode 1.
Ailey from
Ailey is from Alistair.
It's like the same line.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's all in there. Yeah. Ailey from Alistair and Bail Antilles from Alderaan. But that guy is who I had pictured in my head for Bail Organa in this. It's interesting that he's played as royalty because Leia's the senator.
Again, I to make it shoehorn into current canon, I was like, he's putting on an act.
Mm-hmm.
He's putting on an act. I really want it to be the same one. I want to see this animated. I want to see Jimmy Smits animated.
That'd be cool. Yeah. And they're both putting on the act. But again, it's the sort of thing where it's like, yeah, they are rebelling, but it's still very much in secret yet. They're not in open rebellion like maybe Mon Mothma is or something. Because we know that, well, we assume that Bail Organa is still sort of in secret at the times of like Rogue One and stuff like that. So he's very much cloak and dagger, even after some of the others have sort of come forward and become front-facing rebels.
Yeah.
Well, some of the other changes on this, there's more Han on Yavin. I thought was interesting. Han is played way more like a scoundrel.
And he's also trying to do a Harrison Ford impression, which
there's certain words that he hits and it sounds great and it sounds perfect. And then there's other times where I'm just like, all right, you don't need to, just perform your own way.
You want to know how I pictured this Han Solo? From the holiday special Boba Fett cartoon.
That weird shaped head.
Yeah, that's what I
completely see that.
That's what I heard.
Or
that's what I saw.
Or the ham salad from
Cargo
Wars.
I could see that.
Somewhere in between. That's how I had him.
That's how that, but it was definitely not Harrison Ford.
No.
And Darth Vader, for some reason, when I pictured Darth Vader, I pictured him as like one of those Italian knockoff. What's the one? The humanoid.
Oh, I'm
gonna look it up while you. But I definitely didn't picture him as regular Darth Vader. Maybe I'm Ralph McQuarrie designed Darth Vader.
Yeah, with the sort of the big helmet and everything like that. That's a good pull. A lot of this stuff I think has sort of visual elements of what you'd picture the McQuarrie. So I kept on thinking about, again, I'm pulling it back to comics again. One of the last things that Dark Horse put out before they lost the license, before now regaining the license, was The Star Wars, which was like the first draft George Lucas script, then adapted. And that was coming out right as I was leaving work at the comic book shop. And so I only read like the first couple of issues and then I just sort of cut. But even that was just more like flicking through and seeing, all right, so they're taking the Ralph McQuarrie stuff and then doing more panels, essentially, of a lot of that stuff. So, there's some of those sorts of designs. And that's visually what I was picturing a lot of these scenes that we don't have.
Yeah, it wasn't the actual Darth Vader. This is who I was picturing.
Okay. Yeah.
So not quite.
No, but definitely more of a samurai like helmet.
Yeah.
which had the Ralph McQuarrie sort of
Right.
feel to it.
But
Yeah.
it definitely had like a weird, like it was off. It
Yeah.
wasn't Darth Vader. It felt like a prototype version, which worked good for the Princess Leia scenes at the beginning,
Hmm.
where she first interacts with him, like prior to what we see in Star Wars, which was crazy. I didn't think she was going to see Darth Vader that soon.
Earlier than
Um, and Darth Vader felt more involved and on board with the Death Star than he did in the film.
he
When it
also
came to his
felt
with
he
like
felt
Tarkin.
more like a an attack dog to the other Imperials, I think.
Mhm.
Which now we see him as, I think, because of things like Castle Vader and all of the Inquisitors and things like that. We know he's
Yeah,
got his own branch, basically, of the Empire. But
yeah,
in when I'm watching the original trilogy with nothing else, it feels more like he's just a high up Imperial, whereas now and also in this, it feels like you've got the Empire and then you've got Darth Vader. He's on an island of his own, sort of thing. Like,
yeah.
which is cool. It's interesting that that's probably always been the intent, and now they can sort of play it up when they've got the opportunity to, like this.
It's fun listening to Vader confront Leia, and she's not really in the rebellion, but she's in a place where the rebels strike, and that like
Yes,
it's like, oh, that's not good.
yeah, she's
And she gets
sympathetic, but she's then at the time they are not. They are there just on a mercy mission.
so that one doesn't quite fit because that's where she gets the Death Star plans.
Yeah, well,
Like
that's where she gets the rebel. Like she
yeah,
smuggles out a rebel.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
All that stuff was cool. Like all
yeah,
that stuff. I can like picture the platform and stuff. Um and it's I don't know, like I know it might contradict Rogue One, because clearly they
yeah.
go and hand her the thing. Um but I mean I can do without that Rogue
But
One
I mean
scene with Vader.
the Death Star plans have been told in so many different ways up to that
Yeah.
point. Like until Rogue One came out, it was like it's like there was a way of doing it where it's like Dark Forces and Kyle Katarn got a bit of the Death Star plans. The radio drama got a bit of the plans. There was a book called Death Star that Michael Reeves wrote that they got a bit of the plans, and it's like all of these things could come together, and they then all are on the Tantive. Obviously, Rogue One did the sort of the definitive now version of it, but
Right.
there's so many versions out there that it's like if you don't like Rogue One, go choose whichever one of these that you prefer and have that be your headcanon of it. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's what I
I'm just
like
trying to
about yeah,
shove this one into to make sense with Rogue One, and it just doesn't.
not
It
quite.
just
No,
doesn't make sense.
no.
But that's fine.
Um, there's other things that I thought were really interesting. I mentioned it just briefly. Han on Yavin in like the shower scene. It's like Han and Chewie in the showers. We know that Han and
Mhm.
Chewie like to shower together. They still were back then. Um, the fact that when we see him like loading his ship with his reward, it's like that's not currency. That is just precious metals because the rebels sort of laugh at him and they're just like, we don't have any money. Like, look at us. Our ships are all
Yeah.
battered to hell. Like, where do you think we've got money? And he's like, well, I'll take whatever you can get. And he's quite mercenary. He's quite ruthless. He's willing to bleed them dry to get his reward.
Last week I mentioned in Rebel Assault 2 how I thought it was interesting that they were lucky enough to get 2 TIE fighters because they're really shitty.
Yep.
And in this one, they mentioned that they haven't been able to um, do a lot of training
Yeah.
with the X-wings because they don't have enough money for fuel.
Yeah. They can't send Luke up in an X-wing to do any sort of
It's
training.
those little bits where I'm just like this is like that's what I want to hear.
Mm.
Like that's the kind of Star Wars stuff I like. Is
They
like
are a struggling rebellion.
it's the perfect way to show how small they are.
And why Luke would be able to just like walk in and be on this very, very important mission. Because like they've got some ships, but they just don't have enough pilots. Like they need everyone. That was yeah.
Should we let him in?
Oh, I think we probably should.
All right. Hey, Patrick.
Hi, guys.
I know.
Good morning.
I think I thought this started at a different time than it started. Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it. You're all good.
How's everyone doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great.
I'm doing great.
Good.
I was so happy to listen to this again.
Good.
I was so happy.
It's so good.
I used to have it. I used to have it on cassette tape, and I would listen to it to fall asleep when I was a child. And it's very. I probably haven't listened to it in 20 years. I don't know.
Man.
It's been a long time. And I was listening to it, and I was like, oh, it's so weird because there's line readings in this that like that was how I remembered the lines being read like in the movie, but I was like, oh no, this is only from this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get that with certain films, and like it's like I remember the trailer version of a line more than the actual delivery, and so this has the same sort of effect. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Did you get the feeling that Mark Hamill did this just to get another shot at line readings?
There was he says the power converters line very differently.
Yeah.
Exactly the one that Ralph brought up when we mentioned that.
Yes. Oh, great. There was a bunch where I was like, oh, this is him trying it again to be less whiny this time, you know? Yeah. It's so fun though. Thank you for letting me re-listen to it.
Oh no, it's great. And honestly, like you joining a little bit later is really good because I'm gonna have to duck off to work in about 10 minutes, but you guys can carry on talking because like I'm sure Ralph has loads of stuff to say. So that's awesome. You guys you guys watching live have got like a nice extended version of this. This is our radio drama
We can
version.
do like we can compete with the George Lucas talk show live stream, right? You got to play it all the time in the world.
I got nowhere to be.
You guys are both up early. You got loads. You got the rest of your day.
Yeah, I got shit to do today. Patrick.
Okay, well, I guess I'm staying live for the next 4 hours.
Hey,
leave me.
I don't even know. You don't have access to an end broadcast button, do you? Like, if I were to just leave you in here, it would just be up.
That is a great point. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if it would shut off.
If Ralph just leaves the window open, like just
let's try it. Let's try it. When we're wrapping up, you can leave and we'll see if it just keeps going.
I mean, I don't know.
That's literally holding Patrick like hostage on a live stream until Ralph comes back and decides to release you.
So when we were recording these instead of using this StreamYard as a live stream, there'd be times where I'm like, where I'd come into the room waiting for it to like I just had a spinning wheel. And a spinning wheel. I'm like, why isn't this not? Why am I getting a spinning wheel?
Yeah.
Realizing that I never hit end record, and I would have like 2 hours of just my room. And then you would see like a cat wander by. I have these recordings and it's so long. So I'm afraid of it just sitting here for hours.
That's so funny.
I can't even imagine.
So funny. I love it.
It'll be live. People can just drop in and drop out whenever they want.
Yeah.
Lucha Johnny says he wants a live action Star Wars marathon. I mean, today is probably not the day. I have stuff to do.
I mean, you guys can watch
Patrick
me make
can regale
breakfast.
everyone with his tales of going to Lucasfilm and things like that recently. Like,
there you go. It was a good weekend. It was a busy weekend.
It looked it.
Yeah.
There you go.
So when you go to Skywalker Ranch, I've been to Pixar. Can I just say something about Pixar? Because I visited Mark Vibber. Mark Vibber, friend of the show. Pixar is a great place. And you've all seen the gates where it says Pixar and stuff.
Yeah, and then it says Cars 2 on the concrete right through the gates, which I think is real fun.
Cinematic masterpiece.
So Pixar's campus is this huge, gigantic rectangle with a large brick wall around it. Everything outside that brick wall is like fucking Mordor. It's weird. Emeryville is not. It's not what you think it is.
Yeah, probably not where you want to hang out.
I got there ahead of time because I drove up literally from Anaheim to Emeryville. Like I got up at like 4 a.m. to meet Mark and then to visit Pixar. Because if someone says, hey, if you want to visit Pixar, you say yes. So I got there like an hour early, and I'm just sitting there parked in front of Pixar. Like, am I really gonna sit here for an hour? I'm gonna go find like a Jack in the Box or something. And I literally went around the corner, and there's like a freeway overpass, and underneath just like piles of mattresses and just trash and garbage. And I'm like, this is weird.
Is that where they put the animators when they like get too tired or something? Like,
I don't. It's bizarre. It's not because you
saw
the
all
front
the characters.
gate, but you
saw all the characters from Bug's Life just like lying under a highway.
Smoking.
We don't need you guys anymore. Hopper, get under there.
Yeah. It's just constant.
We
They're
definitely
just gonna film it and just go like, okay, right, the next film is gonna be trash monsters.
Definitely don't need Hopper. Hopper can go live in fucking but anyway, I was gonna try to like comment on your pictures with that, but I felt like there's no way to like say, isn't that place a dump? Isn't the surrounding place? Like, do you think that Pixar would be like, maybe we can do a charitable thing by helping clean up the neighborhood or plant some trees or do something? But it is so
you wonder if it has gotten to that point, or if that's how they got so much land.
Cheap.
I think it's how they got so much land.
Yeah.
And then we're like, well, we can't look at this, so let's build this wall.
Yeah. Fascinating.
And no one else has decided to like jump in next to them because they probably just by being there has driven it up. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of dumpsters, Scott D brings up the fact that the What's in the Dumpster, the one man's trash episode of Chris Gessler's show.
So good.
Since the last time we spoke about it, James has watched the episode.
I think we talked that.
Did we talk about it?
First time. I think we've talked about that when we had Patrick on for Obi-Wan as well. Maybe
it's probably true. Yeah,
I don't know.
It's
great.
3
I love it
for me.
This is 3.
You did episode. Muppets. You did Muppets.
Yeah,
you did.
Was it an Obi-Wan or
did Revenge of the Sith? No, you did Phantom Menace.
I did Phantom Menace.
You were on for Phantom Menace. I think so. I do the artwork for these, so here, you guys
it's
talk
at
about
least
how awesome
3. It might be 4.
What here? Let me go back to the topic at hand while you're looking that up.
Yeah.
What new things did you like in this? Like, was there anything added that you were like, oh, that was cool?
Yeah,
the big stuff.
The big stuff was really good. And the dinner scene, the Inglourious Bastards dinner scene at the beginning with Leia and the Imperial officer, so good. Someone in the comments, I think, was it Scott? It was either Scott or Jeremy Kelly. Mentioned that episode 2 of the radio drama should have probably been the first one, because of like when everything takes place. But yeah, the way that it plays out, it's so good and tense. And then we were talking about how the visual gag wouldn't have worked quite as well of wondering who's been shot, like because we thought. You think that it's Bale, it's played up like it's Bale until the reveal that it's not. He's the one who's like defended Leia, essentially. And they've sent Alderaan into a path of sort of full rebellion. And it also it gives more weight to then the destruction of Alderaan, because they're like,
absolutely.
Well, they are rebels. Like, we're gonna snuff out any sort of rebellion. Like, I think Tarkin and is it Motti?
Motti shows up. Motti doesn't get killed at the. I mean, obviously he doesn't get killed, but his presence
you're
is
saying
still...
Motti's at the end, right? The one who's like, you and I could take over this thing, right?
Yeah, he's like Motti and Tarkin have their own thing going on, and it's really interesting. Tarkin is front facing. He's still very much the Emperor's boy. But you know that he's got aspirations, and he's like, well, I'm the one with the finger on the button here. Like, and his second in command is like, let's do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tarkin being just so cold and ruthless in this is like, any sign of rebellion, we're just gonna wipe out the entire planet, and we're gonna do this systematically.
Yeah.
So I have an answer to your question.
Okay,
Patrick
here we go. Here's my prediction. My prediction is that I did the Muppet Show and I did the beginning, the episode 1 documentary.
Ooh.
I don't think we've covered that yet.
We've got it on the list.
What are you guys doing?
On the list? Because we need to spread these things out, and then Disney keeps releasing these TV shows.
It's getting in our way.
Oh
my!
I mean, if we don't, then we're going to put you on the list to have you on for that episode.
Happily.
Great.
Maybe we'll get 2, because I know Tony Thaxton for Motion City Soundtrack and Bizarre Albums loves those
want to
DVD
talk
documentaries.
about when Rick McCallum calls Ewan McGregor and he says, "Dude." That's all I want to talk about. It's just how he says "dude."
That one bit.
Yeah.
So I think I already told you this, Patrick, that at Celebration, I want to cosplay as Rick McCallum, have a clapperboard, and like while people are taking pictures of cosplayers, I just jump in real quick. Let's do this, everybody. Let's kick ass, or whatever he says. And then do the thing, and then bounce out. Hopefully, I'll get into pictures. People snap
That's really
pictures
fun.
with him.
There was a Rick McCallum autograph at Celebration this year, and I was so close to buying it. And I was like, "You're a dummy! Like, don't buy this. You don't need this." And I was like, so close to spending like $65 on a Rick.
But you need to get one though. Like to get one from him.
Isn't he like somewhere in Southeast Asia now? Like
he lives in Prague.
Oh, okay, he's in Prague. Okay.
And his stepfather is the actor Michael York. That's also my favorite.
Wait, hold on. Say that again. His what?
Rick McCallum's stepfather is Michael York from Logan Run and Austin Powers, and yeah.
That's it. Just those two things.
So does that make Rick McCallum a nepo baby?
Well, a stepo baby maybe.
Stenepo baby.
Yeah. Wait, what was the other episode? What was the other episode?
Okay, so the Muppet Show was the first one, and the second one, because he only did two, was the Phantom Menace.
It was the Phantom. Wow,
that's wild. I don't remember that at all.
I would have guessed that it was one of the shows, either Boba Fett or Obi-Wan, but apparently not.
No.
Yeah.
Weird.
No.
Weird.
He could have been. He should have been.
Yeah.
That's the next thing. Mandalorian might need some.
So I've never heard the Empire one, the Empire radio show.
This was my first time going through this as well. So I'm now jazzed to do the other two for sure.
I like weird. I had this and I had Jedi. Those were like the two ones I had. I never had Empire. I've had them downloaded for a really long time, but they're so long that it's like it feels like an undertaking to like take it on.
But like, how long did this take? Like, how long does this take you to listen to?
Well,
you've been traveling
to San Francisco this weekend, so I had plenty of time to listen to it. I also listened to it on 1.5 speed, which was a little trick.
How was Vader's dialogue at 1.5?
I mean, I'm used to it because that's how I listen to podcasts. So like, it's how like whenever I hear people talking at normal speeds now, I'm like, it's so slow. Like it sounds so bizarre to me. And I like still weirdly like knew it all. You know what I mean? Like it was just so ingrained in my brain because I would like listen to it while I slept. So it just like would like seep into my mind even if I knew it or not.
I think that's what I enjoyed about this so much was we all know Star Wars inside and out. You don't need to. You can start the film and then 5 minutes later you can be doing whatever it is you're doing the rest of the day, and the film can just play out in your head.
Yeah,
we all know it inside and out. So listening to this and it being my first time through, I was like, "Oh, this is new." Like it was, it perked me up and it made me excited to listen to the next thing, just to hear. Like, even if it was just a line read that was different or a tweak or a little bit of dialogue that was changed, it made it exciting and fresh and new again. It was very, very cool.
So you said you hadn't listened to Empire.
Yeah.
I saw you discover some stuff on the Wikipedia page for the Empire Strikes Back radio drama.
Now,
thoughts on that?
It was not a discovery, but it was a
favorite fact.
Remembrance. I think it was actually for Jedi. Because they did the first two pretty close spot. Like this was 81, and then the Empire one was like 83, 84, something like that. And then the Return of the Jedi one was not until 96. So they like took a really long time to do it.
Wow.
But if people don't know, I've rediscovered that Ed Begley Jr. plays Boba Fett, which I love. It's so weird.
Good. That's great.
And then Ed Asner is Jabba the Hutt, and he does the whole thing in Huttese. Which is just amazing. It's really amazing.
Imagine being the person who's like, okay, right, Ed, we've got this role for you. Also, you've got to read it in this weird language, and I'm guessing do a bit of a voice to it as well.
I guess. I don't know.
I can't wait.
It's so great. It's so great. It's really fun. It's a bummer that Hamill's not in that one. My guess is by the time that happens, he was like, I'm not Luke Skywalker. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to.
He was doing the Joker. He was doing the Joker by the time.
He was like trying to get away from it a little bit.
96. He was probably almost done with like his first run of being Joker. Like, it was just
Maybe he didn't want to redo any of his lines from Jedi.
He was happy with his performance in Jedi. Yeah,
he didn't want to fix anything.
But yeah, that's a bummer that he's not in it, just because he's in the first two. But I don't really remember Jedi. I want to re-listen.
So you still haven't heard Empire Strikes Back, right?
No.
So nobody here has heard. I've never heard Empire Strikes Back. I haven't heard the other two.
Oh, it's gonna be great. All right, Patrick,
we're gonna have to do this.
I'm gonna have to run off to work, but thank you for joining. You guys carry on. I'm gonna listen to this later on because I want to hear what you guys say about the rest of it. But we're gonna pencil you in for when we do Empire. When you've got another drive coming up, let us know.
I won't listen to it until you guys tell me to.
Awesome. All right. I'll see you soon, guys. Have a good rest of the show.
All right, see you, dude. I'll remove him.
Now you're stuck with me.
Just the boys. Let's just stop the show now, and he'll get to work and be like, "Oh,
the boys."
He works graveyards, and he's in England. So that's
So wait. So what time? It would be 11.
It's 9 hours, or it's 8 hours from us. So right now it's 5:30 in the afternoon. He's got to get there, and he works like a 12-hour shift or some ridiculous fucking thing. And so we do the shows at 7:30 Pacific time.
Why did I think it was? I thought it was 8:30 for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, it's usually it's 10:30 for you because you're on the East Coast. But
I don't know. For some reason, I was like fully thinking it was 8:30.
That's fine.
I feel bad, I feel bad.
We felt bad because we're like, A, it's too early, and B, he listened to 13 episodes of this shit and then didn't even get to talk about it. But I'm glad it wasn't like you listened to it and you're like, God damn, these things, it's a slog. I don't want to.
No. I fully just look. Here's the problem. It says 8:30 a.m. on my thing. I messed up. I goofed.
It's fine. It's fine. Who cares?
It's fine.
You made it, and that's all. That's all that counts.
This is boring for people.
Me and James covered pretty much tip to tail. We didn't talk about Is that a word? Is that a saying? Tip to tail? I've never said that before in my life. It's funny how, because it's a audio medium, that after the Death Star explodes, Han Solo has to explain to Luke what happened because it's got to be told. And so you get an extra scene at the end about them explaining what went down. And I do like the medal ceremony where Luke and Han are just whispering to each other as they're walking up the aisle. Like,
it's really great.
Wow, there's sure a lot of people here.
It really does like add a lot of cool stuff. Like, just even like the guy coming in and being like, "You two ready to go out?" Like, now listen, there's a bunch of guys out there standing out there at attention. Like, I don't know. It just like it adds to that world and really builds it out a little bit. Did you guys talk about who does additional voices in this?
No. And what happened was I kept skipping the end and the beginnings to shave time. But I listened to the full list at the end, and I was very surprised and very excited.
Yeah, David Alan Grier is one.
Amazing.
Dad himself. Now I wish even Wikipedia like doesn't have who did what, and I wish they would. You know what I mean? Like, I want to know who he was.
I figured we can go figure it out.
Probably. Meshach Taylor, who also is Wedge, which is just a weird, interesting casting. And then Jerry Hardin. Do you know who Jerry Hardin is?
No.
Were you an X-Files guy?
No. Is he the smoking man? That's the only thing I know.
He was Deep Throat. He was their first informant. He's also Jan from The Office's father in real life. Yeah. But there was one other one. Who was the other one that I looked up?
I was saying that the diversity in this was so good. Like, I'm like, oh, this feels like a bigger world because the movie's just a bunch of white guys.
Yeah. And there's some rebels, like when the guy who's like, that's impossible, even for a computer or whatever. Like Fake Wedge or whatever is not a. I guess that's probably just real Wedge, which is Meshach Taylor. David Paymer. I like David Paymer.
Yeah,
he plays Deke in this. But also like Brock Peters is really good. Who's
I like Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan I had the least.
Yeah.
I didn't get pulled out of it. I was saying that Vader's fine, Han Solo's fine, but once they say a line from the movie, you're like, that's not Han Solo, that's not Darth Vader. But Obi-Wan I was cool with the whole time.
Interesting. See, Obi-Wan for me felt like a guy doing a character.
But I mean,
like I could tell that he was putting on the voice. Like he was like doing it was like almost Beatlesy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. But so was Han Solo, but I feel like Han. But Han felt like Harrison Ford now. Like real quiet, real whisper. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Did you see that trailer for that show that Harrison Ford's on with Jason Segel? Yeah. I don't know if Harrison Ford's awake.
I know. Well, that's
really weird.
That's an ongoing issue.
I know. Indiana Jones better be.
Yeah. I have faith in Indiana Jones. I think it'll be good. I liked about this that it came out after Empire, and they were able to like change a couple things to make it fit a little bit better with Empire. You know what I mean? Or like foreshadow stuff. What was
like Vader?
The Vader torture scene where he's like, "Tell your father, tell your father." I was just like, "This is fun."
We didn't talk about that torture scene. Maybe goes on a little too long.
Yeah.
Too much moaning and stuff.
The whole thing maybe goes on a little too long, but yeah.
I'd have to listen to it at 1.5 to see what you heard, but what I heard,
the listening to it feels like reading the old Marvel comics from the 70s and 80s, where you're like, this is Star Wars, but it's not. Like, it's just off enough to not feel like Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was going to say, I'm happy that people re-listened to this, and then I realized it was James. In the comments. Look at that. Rick DeMint, friend of the show, Rick DeMint, says, saw the first episode of the Harrison Ford show last night. It's quite good. I also recommend people go watch Shrink, which was on CISO. I believe it's on Peacock now with Tim Baltz, and I have heard a very similar premise.
Am I allowed to bring this up? Because I don't know what's going on. But on Instagram is a CISO account that I believe follows folks from the George Lucas talk show. I don't know if that's a bit that has been revealed.
No, and it's not us. I'll say that.
Oh, okay.
We are not running it.
Okay.
No. Yeah. Someone, one of our fans squatted on the CISO accounts because they deleted their accounts so no one had them. So now there is a Twitter and an Instagram account being run by our fans.
Was it brought up on the show?
I think maybe we've talked about it in passing, but it's never been like a real thing.
It was so weird because it was like Instagram. You may also like to follow CISO. I'm like, CISO, and I clicked on it, and it was like following literally you three guys. And I was like, oh man, I can't wait to see what comes of this.
No payoff. There's not going to be any payoff. Don't get excited.
I mean, is it trademarked?
I don't think so. I don't think they care.
I mean, just start releasing comedy bits.
I'll say this. NBC Instagram lets their trademarks lapse. When I was making my new LA live improv show that I was doing, I was going to call my show because the trademark had lapsed and they do not own the trademark anymore. I was going to call it Comedy Night Done Right, which was one of their taglines for a long time. But then I was like, I don't want to deal with this if it becomes a thing. You know what I mean?
And how much is it to buy a copyright? Like, it's probably a lot.
I don't think it is a lot, especially if no one owns it anymore. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just like, I just thought it'd be funny to like be like, no, this is mine now. But it was gonna mess up my like Google results and everything, you know. we immediately stopped talking about this radio show.
I know. Well, me and James talked about it for a good chunk of time. I'm trying to think of stuff that we didn't talk about, and we didn't talk about the torture scene, but I'm glad he's chiming in on that.
Yeah.
But there's like scenes where they show you like sort of what happens in between the scenes in Star Wars that you don't expect to hear. We didn't talk about the scene where C-3PO and R2-D2 go into hiding at a junkyard. Which was like that's like one of those Clone Wars episodes.
Yeah,
that's not part of a main arc. It's just like this weird, and it felt like a droids cartoon.
Yeah,
C-3PO and R2 at the scrapyard. Like,
what year was droids? That would have been after Jedi, right? So that would have been like
probably like 84, 85.
85, yeah, somewhere in there.
I'm fuzzy on my dark times because I know it's a running joke that I don't like the cartoons and stuff, but like
I also haven't
tried so many times.
Me too. I've seen like maybe 3 or 4 episodes of droids. I've never seen any of the Ewoks.
Have you seen the opening of the Ewok cartoon, the song?
Yes.
It's amazing.
I don't remember
it's like Leon Redbone or something.
Oh, sure. Well, the guy who wrote the droids theme song, it was in the Police. The Sting band. Stuart Copeland. I think it was Stuart Copeland. I believe so. Yeah.
My favorite fun fact is the Gummy Bears. Was sung by Joseph Williams.
Oh, really?
John Williams' son?
Yeah. He's now the lead singer for Toto.
Wow. He also sang for like Simba, and also wrote Lopty Neck. Of course, we all know that.
Yeah, that's really funny. He my thing I discovered a couple months ago. There was some quote where it was about David Lynch talking about Dune and how he didn't want John Williams to do the music for Dune, so he hired Toto to do the music. And it's funny because now John Williams' son is the lead singer of Toto. Like, it was just one of those, like, doesn't really matter, but it was just an interesting, like, circle that you never thought would be finished, you know? Right. What was I going to say? They talk about the ship that Princess Leia is on in the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
Do they pronounce it the way you think it's pronounced?
I pronounce it that way because of the radio drama.
Oh, interesting.
I feel like I'm a cool guy.
Yeah.
Because that's how I pronounce it. I know Pete, the retailer over at Star Wars Minute, calls it the Tantive.
Interesting.
But I always, growing up, called it the Tantive.
Yeah, that's what I always thought it was.
Yeah. And then so like, because the radio drama for a while there, because the radio drama says one thing and it's spelled a different way.
Yeah.
I would just call it the Blockade Runner.
Yeah.
It was the easiest way. But now I think I'm firmly in the camp of the Tantive because I'm kind of a crotchety old man when it comes to Star Wars. I'm sick of these kids with their it's a traps and this is the way and I have spoken. I'm really sick of it. So like now I'm like, no, it's the Tantive. And until those kids discover the radio drama, I'm calling it the Tantive.
Hello there. I'm so tired of hello there.
Oh, I've been done with that for a long time. I would comment on people saying it in the comments. I would just literally like pop up a comment and just like shake my head if someone were to say hello there. It was never a thing.
Yeah.
George put it in the prequels. Fine. It was probably Ewan's idea.
Sure.
Because George didn't care. George called them laser swords because that's what he called them back in the 70s. Forgot they were called lightsabers. Told the kid to call it a laser sword, and the kid did what the adult said.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning,
for all you kids out there, always do what the adults say.
But what's funny is in the beginning, which we need to cover. I mean, we need to do that sooner than later. Jake Lloyd
Dude.
Jake Lloyd says Coruscant because it's spelled like that. And George is like, hey, whatever, say it however you want. And then so it's like, like for me, it's Tantivy.
Yeah.
Can I just say something real quick since you brought up your mouse? My mouse died yesterday, and I have a Magic Mouse from Apple. And the cord to plug it in is at the bottom.
Sure.
Why don't they put it here where I can still use my mouse
agree.
while it goes? Okay.
Ralph, can I tell you this? Right now, I don't know why I'm using dude, you're getting a Dell mouse, okay? But also, Ralph, I have this. I have this. And I have this. Why do I have 4 mouses on my desk currently?
Because you have to charge it. You have to use one while the other's charging.
I guess, but 4?
Because Apple doesn't take them back.
Yeah.
I'll put them up. I'll throw them up on like a Craigslist type of app or something. I gave my old one to Stevie because it works with her laptop, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But who was it? Was it you or Connor that had a bunch of iPods?
That was probably Connor.
It was like he had like
he
kept bringing up iPods.
Yeah, because he doesn't like talking about Connor Ratliff right now. Does not like touchscreen iPods. He only likes iPod Classics. Like he does not have an iPhone. So when he wants to listen to his music, he wants to listen to it on an iPod Classic.
So Classic sitting right there.
There you go. Look at that. He keeps buying them. And he has like 9 of them at this point because they keep dying on him because
they don't make batteries.
Yeah, they're an outdated technology that like doesn't, wasn't meant to last this long.
I plugged mine in and it wiped my music because all my music on my computer is like iCloud shit.
Sure.
So I have like Agent Cody Banks by John Powell on my iPod right now. That's
not Operation London, just the first one.
I think it's the first one.
Did you guys talk about things? I'm trying to think of other. I want to make it feel like I really contributed to talking about this radio show.
I want you to feel like you didn't spend 6 hours.
It's true.
For no reason.
I don't feel like that. I was happy to listen to it. But did you talk about the things? There's a few things that make this not fit in canon anymore.
Yeah.
There's not many. But there's a
Bail
few.
Organa stuff.
It's mostly the Bail Organa stuff. I feel like if you snip that or like slightly trim that, you could make that work. But pretty much everything else is like, this works fine. Like there's nothing in here that's that crazy,
No. And I like the recasting of Jabba as Heater.
Oh, yes. Yes. I forgot about that. Which, honestly, if you don't like that Jabba scene, works fine. But yeah, there's some stuff that like messes up the Bail Rogue One, and they talk about how they got the plans and everything, and it doesn't obviously track with. It would be really fun if they were like in 1981. He's like, a rebel team went down to Scarif and destroyed the Wait, let me show you this. Oh, you wouldn't have seen this at our Sketchfest show, right? We had Gary Whitta on.
Yeah.
And Gary gave a gift to George that George then gave to me.
I hope Gary's not watching.
You know what this is?
Is that sand from Scarif? Whoa.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. I was going to show you something and that's not as cool.
You can still show me.
While we're talking earlier, I looked up what Heater looks like.
Yes.
Or do you know what Heater looks like?
I don't.
Because Heater is in Wikipedia. So I'm going to show this again. People saw this.
Okay.
So this is what Heater looks like in according to Wikipedia.
Okay. So it's just Declan Mulholland.
It's great. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. I wonder what that's from. what that picture is.
We were assuming it's some sort of comic, or there was a trading card set.
Yeah.
That had that dealt with a radio drama, but it's such a great idea. So we were like,
Wait,
can we get that scene recut?
Have you seen the new scene? A guy went through and re-put together that scene and like frame by frame animated him to look like Declan Mulholland, to like fill in the gaps that he didn't have, and it looks great. Let me hang on.
You can share screen, right? I think it's called Present now.
Yeah, hang on one sec. Let me try to find it.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, James says trading card. I mean, James, if your phone has a camera on it, you have the link. We don't care that you're at work. Is your work really going to care that you're talking to your phone? Like,
shoot. Hang on, I will find it.
I wanted to dress as that Jabba, who's now Heater at Celebration, and looked for, because I feel like my body type works for that character. And I looked up Jabba the Hutt. What's his last name? Declan
Mulholland, I believe.
Mulholland. He was Little John. No, he was Friar Tuck in Time Bandits.
I don't think I knew
wearing
that.
like the exact same outfit.
Yeah.
So you can probably take his action figure from, or the Gamorrean Guard action figure.
Oh, sure.
Or the Friar Tuck. Was it Little John? I don't know. The Prince of Thieves one.
Yeah. And remake
but no one's done it. No one's done that cosplay at like a celebration or anything.
Yeah, it feels like that would be pretty easy. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like that would be something that people would do. Why can I not find? Is this it?
Because it's a furry vest. And
sure, which feels pretty easy.
Right.
I can't find this now. Now I'm like going crazy. Oh well. Sorry.
Oh wow.
Oh, here it is.
I always wanted them to do the Jabba the Hutt with the feet that they had proposed doing.
Oh yeah.
Like when you look at from Star Wars The Jedi, the making of the saga, they show the actor and then a drawing of what Jabba the Hutt looked like around him because he was walking at feet. Like I'd like someone to do that.
Here you go. I just sent it to you because I had it on my phone and it's easier to send it to you.
Okay.
I don't love the Jabba scene anymore in general, but I do just like
redundant.
It's redundant, but I do just like, it's like, oh well, here's more Han Solo. You know what I mean? Like, here's Han Solo looking like he did in 1977. Sure, I'll take it. The same way where I wish someone would, you know, if they had high res scans of those other deleted scenes, I would love to see it in there too. But yeah, this thing is cool.
Wait, hold on. I'm afraid of. Hold on.
You're gonna love it. Don't be afraid. You're gonna love it.
My thing is that when I share the screen, it has my tabs.
Oh.
Which includes something that I'm working on that I can't really talk about. So let me I'm gonna move that. I'm just gonna move that tab. I'm gonna move that tab over. Do you want to talk? I can't talk about it.
No, you can't. Here, wait, maybe
porn.
I can do it.
Stevie's saying porn.
It is porn. It's Ralph's doing porn now.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. I got it.
Hold on, I got it.
No, it's too late.
Okay.
It's too late.
Okay.
Is it on the screen? Okay, here we go.
I can add to stream.
Okay, here we go.
What if you put
Come out of there, Solo!
So he like went through and like
right here, Jabba.
Been waiting for you.
Have you not?
I wonder if we're gonna get
You
dinged.
didn't think I was gonna run, did you?
My boy. There are times you disappoint me.
Right now.
Why haven't you paid me? And why did you have to fry poor Greedo like that, after all we've been through together?
Look, Jabba, next time you want to talk to me, come see me yourself. Don't send one of these twerps.
Han, understand. I just can't afford to make exceptions. Where would I be if every pilot who smuggled for me dropped this consignment at the first sign of an Imperial starship? It's not good business.
Look, Jabba, even I get bored.
Here he goes.
Do you think I had a
Staying at
choice?
the same height.
I got a nice, easy charter now. I'll pay you back.
That's my least favorite thing is the
Just
tail.
need a little more time.
Yeah.
Han, my boy, I'm only doing this because you're the best and because I need you. So for an extra 20%, I'll give you...
Jabba, don't push it.
For an extra 15%, I'll give you a little extra time. But this is it. If you disappoint me again, I'll put a price on your head so big, you won't be able to go near a civilized system for the rest of your life.
Jabba, you're a wonderful human being.
Oh yeah, because this.
If the ship's as fast as it's boasting, we ought to do well.
The guy said it cuts off too much of like Boba or something, or of the other people in the background, so he had to leave it in, something like that. Yeah, I mean that scene just doesn't really work. You know what I mean? Like, there's no real menace to.
We feel like, or I feel, I don't know if James agrees with me, but that scene is redundant.
Yeah,
but I feel like George Lucas did the Greedo scene in case he couldn't get his job to work.
Yeah, sure.
So it's all the same information.
Sure. Well, Greedo.
So it made sense.
Wasn't Greedo? No, I guess they did shoot it some in England, but most of it was like reshoots in LA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I also think that story. I personally think the story of him saying that they were going to put like a stop motion guy over him. Do you know about this?
Yes, that's what I want to see.
I think
because they have the artwork. I don't know if I'd be able to find it, but
I think it's bullshit.
They literally show Declan Mulholland's like standing like this, like a drawing of him, and they have like an outline of where the puppet's gonna go.
Yeah, I think it was one of those pie in the sky thoughts that as soon as they went to go try to make it, they were like, no, we can't do this, George. Like, we'll do anything else, but we can't do that.
Yeah, especially after watching the ILM documentary, you're like, how did he think this was going to happen? Because is there any stop motion in Star Wars? Just the chessboard.
The chessboard. And the Dianoga is not stop motion, maybe.
No, it's like a little.
It's just a.
It just looks weird.
Yeah, it just moves in a way where it feels like it could be stop motion, but
I feel like George knew that one of them came from doing the Pillsbury Doughboy, and was like, okay, do that, but make me a Jabba.
Yeah. I wish Jabba looked like Pillsbury Doughboy. Yeah, radio
get that guy to do it.
Radio drama's good.
Yeah,
I'm just looking at the cast more now. When I was a kid, I always used to think the guy who plays Captain Antilles, his name is David Aykroyd, and I always thought he was related to Dan, but he's not because
it's spelled different. Yeah,
you know?
I thought so too. And did you think that the football coach directed these? John Madden?
Oh, who directed? Oh yeah, John Madden. You're right. I don't think I knew who John Madden was when I was listening to this as a 6-year-old or whatever. Interesting. Still alive.
John Madden?
But the guy, John Madden's still alive. Brian Daley, who wrote it, is not alive. He died. I think he had cancer. I believe he wrote the Jedi one. Let's see.
There were certain things he wrote differently.
Jedi, and he was like dying when they were recording it, and he died before it came out. Was the case? Yeah.
Oh no, that's awful.
Because he also wrote a bunch of the Han books in the 80s. Like the little cheap paperbacks that, came out in the 80s.
Like the Han Solo Adventures.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was things like TX
427
or 42. Now I can't say it. TK 421. It's TX. And then like the 328 or 326 3827 was changed a little bit, like a couple numbers were missing.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like it's like I was like, that's not right. But I'm like, why am I getting angry? Like all this stuff is all made up weird.
But it was also like fascinating things that gets changed where you're like, this doesn't matter, but like, why did you change it? You know what I mean? Like, it makes no difference. Like, why not just leave it to be
We
the
think he
same
was
lore?
working off a script that was probably like typed or on a WordPress or a Word.
Sure.
What do they call it?
It wasn't the
processor. And so the K might have looked like an X.
Sure. Or they just changed it when they were shooting. You know, it may like the words may be different in the script than what
did he have I don't know if VHS was probably around, but probably not easily accessible.
Probably,
so he must have been going off of something weird.
Probably had like a film, like a reel.
Like, is any of this stuff in the is there a novelization of this?
There is it's not a novelization, but the scripts are out. Like, you can buy a book of the scripts.
Because I know like a lot of novelizations add scenes, change stuff. Like Last Jedi notoriously has some like is known for like the extra shit that Rian Johnson didn't put in his very long movie. But we still haven't talked about Last Jedi on the show.
Wow. That's big.
Yeah. But
good luck.
Yeah.
Gonna need it.
Hey. From Star Wars. Yeah, I don't like reading.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if they put the novelization in like audio book form, like a book on tape. I'll listen to that. I'll listen to that because I feel like I kind of want more original 1977 Star Wars without it being a Disney Plus series.
The audiobook does exist.
Anthony Daniels? Is it Anthony Daniels narrating?
No, it's Mark Thompson who does most of the Star Wars.
Oh, he's the guy that he does like a really good Han Solo impression, right?
Well, that guy? News. If he's reading Last Jedi, you're not going to hear it. Spoilers. Spoilers, everybody.
Listen, Last Jedi has some of my absolute favorite Star Wars stuff ever in it.
Yeah.
But also some of my least favorite Star Wars stuff in it.
I'm probably 90% pro Last Jedi.
I like that Rian Johnson swung for the fences, but also I feel like Rian Johnson thought he had one chance to make a Star Wars and put everything he ever thought of as a kid into one movie, and it might have been too much. But Glass Onion's freaking terrific. I love Glass Onion. Anyway, so I like Rian Johnson.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
Is this an ad? Jeremy Kelly says, Ralph, get the Libby app.
This sponsored, Jeremy? You have to
listen to the book for free.
What's Libby? Ralph, you know what? I say get the Ana Lucia app. That's what I say.
I mean, if you're going with victims of Michael Dawson, I was just told from Stevie that Libby is awesome.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you had a earpiece in your. Hang on, Ralph. I'm being told right now the Libby app is awesome. I can confirm the Libby app is awesome. Yes.
It's funny. I like Stevie just kind of walks back and forth through the hallway. And she's like looking at her phone. One time I'm like, oh, she's watching us. She's watching me. Look at her watching me, looking at her.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
Dude. Can I just tell you something? Like, you're in the know. And we love Lost. And that's how me and James met, through Lost. And a lot of people are doing rewatches lately.
I'm doing one right now.
I want to do a rewatch, but I don't want to rewatch season 1. I've seen it so many times. Yeah. Because you watched it before season 2, watched it before season 2 and 3, watched it before season 2, 3, or 4.
I'm watching it with a friend right now who's never seen it, and we're on season 5.
That's fun. That's what I need.
I'm very excited to watch 5 and 6 just because I haven't seen them as many times.
Season 5 is my favorite season.
Season 5 was, I mean, in memory, it was also my favorite season. So,
Jughead.
I just watched Jughead.
Great.
Just watched Jughead. Yeah.
Young Eloise Hawking.
Spoilers. Lost is for anyone in the comments right now. Lost is good, and you should go rewatch Lost.
I want to say everybody in the comments right now is a Darmalars or was a Darmalars listener.
Sure.
Maybe not Lucha
Sure.
Johnny.
Sure.
Adam Frazier, I believe, listened to Darmalars.
Look at that.
Jeremy Kelly, who I met at Galaxy's Edge.
Look at that.
We were both wearing Star Wars Minute shirts.
That's so funny.
Yeah. It was a cast preview.
I was at the cast preview at Disneyland for Galaxy's Edge.
Was it the day it rained?
Wait, no, it was for Rise. It was for Rise. It was not for Galaxy's Edge in general.
I was there I was there one of those days.
Yeah.
It did not rain. The Galaxy's Edge, the casting, it was over like 3 days, and you got to pick a day and a time. And I picked like a Saturday at like 1 p.m. to like 4 p.m.
Yeah.
And then the weather reports came up, and it was literally rain, a 90% chance of rain between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. But I gotta say, Galaxy's Edge looks amazing in the rain.
I believe that. I believe that.
It adds something.
Yeah.
But I'm like done with Disney. I'm really done with Disney. I'm done with Disney. I'm done with. I feel weird because and I don't think she's watching, but my sister has an annual pass and she goes to Disney a lot. She loves Disney, and that's great.
Yeah.
But like, other than my,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I worked there for 15 years.
That's what I'm saying. You have a very different relationship with it than other people.
16 years.
A long time.
But for me, like, I'm right now, I'm just so done with Disney and Disney adults. I saw the thing for the closing of the Splash Mountain ride, and I was just like, guys, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, it's gonna
Please get off my feed.
It's gonna be the same thing. Everyone needs to chill out. Like, yeah. Oh well, it's fine. It'll be fine.
If they created a second entrance for Galaxy's Edge, that would be great. I would just go straight in there.
Sure. But
Disney's not for me. I mean, I'll still watch their Star Wars shows. Sure. And I'll watch Willow. I don't know if you watched Willow, but
I did watch Willow.
But they sort of had a promise of episode or season 2 and 3. So I'm hoping it continues. Listen, I'm not the age demographic for Willow. And that's fine. And I still enjoyed it very much. But Old Man Ralph did question some choices with maybe some dialogue. I was fine with the shits and dams and asses and bitches and stuff like that. I was fine with that. And the way they spoke.
I just want to say too, you were fine with the shits and dams and asses and bitches and stuff like that. I just like that sentence. I think it's a really funny sentence.
The song choices made me laugh so much where I'm like, instead of being like, this is fucking stupid, I was like, this is bringing me joy. Yeah. It's so out of left field.
Yeah.
And it's bringing me joy. So just accept the song choices because hearing a pop cover of Enter Sandman to end your very foreboding cliffhanger. I literally was pacing around the house while the credits were going, just like explaining to Stevie how, like, this is ridiculous. What are they thinking? This is so stupid. And it's making me laugh, which is bringing me joy. And I'm like, this is like, I was literally pacing around the house, like trying to process what I was hearing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Says about Splash Mountain.
It's a great point.
Same water.
That's so funny.
Did you take issues with Willow?
No, I watched it all and I said it's fine. You know, it's fine. I was not a Willow boy in general.
I was.
I was
a big Willow boy.
I think it's fine. I like it. Like, I'll watch it, but I'm not, I didn't see it when I was a kid, so I don't have that like attachment to
it. The thing I like most about it, is John Kasdan.
John.
Big fan.
Yes, and that's what I'm happiest. That's what I'm happiest about the show is that he got to make this and he got to do his thing.
What I like this as opposed to Star Wars is that John Kasdan, even though he's a huge fan, the property wasn't so precious that he felt like he had to do the same thing, which it isn't. There aren't a lot of Willow Boys out there.
Yeah.
So it's like they're not making it for Willow Boys. They're making it for a new generation just with that one character and a couple others.
Yeah.
And that's what I want from Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if we can get away with the pop songs.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping like Taika Waititi's Star Wars is what we were sort of promised with Miller and
Lord.
Lord and Miller, I guess. So bring it on.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It was something, and I'm happy that it exists. That's how I feel about it.
Me too.
I'm happy that it exists.
I smiled the whole time.
Yeah.
There's a giant CG spoilers. There's a giant CG witch at the end that calls the main character a bitch, and I'm like, okay, I didn't think I'd see that. And it's like, but it's great because it's like this scene would have been taken so seriously in any other show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like this is how WandaVision should have been at the end.
Yeah.
But Catherine Hahn's so serious.
Yes. And that is the problem with a lot of these kind of shows is that they take themselves so seriously. And I feel like Willow does not in a fun way. Like it's not a bad thing, you know? But please stop saying Willow Boys. I'm not going to do that.
I think it's been mostly me.
Okay, well, we're not going to do that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm happy it exists. I wish more stuff like that take a weird chance on something on an IP that like, well, here's the other thing. I was going to say take a weird chance on an IP that like generally doesn't matter to the
Twice Upon a Time.
Yeah, stuff like that. But also like it's tough to get people to watch stuff. Like I'm very curious what the numbers were like for Willow.
I don't know.
I had no idea. I don't know.
It's probably not my demographics. Probably like through the what are they like 13 through 18 or something maybe.
You think?
If they reach those peak, it's made for them.
I don't think those people care about Willow.
Here's the thing, like if you're a kid, I mean, every kid wants to see Stranger Things.
Are Willow Boys. Sorry, let me say Willow Boys again. Yeah. And in certain ways, this tries to be Stranger Things a little bit. You know what I mean?
Which is the way to get those kids into this sort of thing. It's almost like, hey, adults have Rings of Power and Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, but what's for kids? There's nothing really. So Jonathan Kasdan probably pitched it as like, hey, listen, we can do a Game of Thrones, but skewed younger. Like Harry Potter's popular, but that's problematic now. So we got our own wizards at Lucasfilm, and let's bring in some kids. And like if I was like a 10-year-old, I think those kids, those 16-year-olds would be like the freaking coolest kids ever because they swear and have armor.
Shit and ass and bitch and what was the other one? Hell? Are those your four?
I think so.
You're gonna have to put an explicit on this.
Oh, we already do.
Good.
On YouTube, I don't know. On our iTunes, Apple Podcasts, I have an explicit tag.
Guys,
but this one doesn't show up on Apple Podcast.
Oh, don't leave a review then. I was gonna say leave a review, but if it's not on Apple Podcasts, then can't do it.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to take much more of your time.
Yeah.
I have a show to do today. I'm doing an unboxing of Rebirth of Mothra 3 on record.
Sure, why not?
I gotta do some grocery shopping.
Yeah.
I have to check my email because I might have a job interview sometime soon.
And you got a busy weekend?
And then I had my project that I'm working on had a huge scheduling change last night, which I told you about. I have to shuffle some people around in that. Yesterday morning at like 10 in the morning, I'm like, my schedule is set.
Yeah.
For the weekend. We're perfectly good. And then we got big news last night, and I'm like, oh shit, that's very good news. And I feel bad because Taylor, he assumed I would be more excited, but my brain immediately went into, I gotta fix this.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yeah, you should be. It's a good update.
I've got to disappoint some people. But yeah, I'm working on that this weekend, and man, I feel like we're so close to announcing. I think we're really in a good spot to announce what's happening. But I have work to do on that today, and I should probably get going. But let me see if I have I don't. I was going to say if you wanted to be on any of my other shows that I can. Did you ever want to be on my? Did you ever want to be on my Patreon before?
What's your Patreon?
What do you talk about? Secret Society. It's the Secret Society.
Look at that. What do you talk about?
Anything.
I feel like the color scheme is not good for my skin.
It just made me think too.
My skin a lot.
Yeah, I have a show called All Right, Let's Do a Podcast with Kevin.
Sure.
The last one was a Christmas episode, so we have I don't know, dude. Where you could have been in our Book of Boba Fett series.
Could have.
Or Andor.
Look at that. I gotta rewatch Book of Boba.
Yeah.
We
have fond memories of it while we're doing it.
Yeah. I liked it
then,
more than I think other people did, but I'm curious to rewatch it.
It's a Boba Fett show in 2022.
Did you talk about the earthquake, Ralph?
I didn't feel the earthquake.
I woke up this morning and I said, like, while it was happening, and I said, I'm not drunk. Why is the room shaking? And then I was like, oh, I know what this is. And then
was it your first?
It was my first.
You didn't go tweet about it?
No.
You didn't do a boomerang of a pool sloshing?
I was like, I was awake, but I wasn't really. Like, I was conscious enough to be like, I know what this is. And then I'll be like, I'll be fine.
You didn't feel like you were in danger?
Yeah. So
that's great.
Fun. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. I don't really get used to them, but there's that initial, like, what is it?
Yeah. It was weird. I thought I was dreaming it. And then I woke up and saw that people texted me, and I was like, oh, that must have been a real thing, not just in my brain. Thank you, Stevie. Yeah.
I thought I felt one the other night, but I mean, we have, there's been a couple here lately that are 2 miles up the road.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally between us and the Jack in the Box we go to. Like it's.
Yeah.
There. Oh, also, speaking of firsts, what'd you get at Jack in the Box? You just said you got your first Jack in the Box.
I went to Jack in the Box for the first time. I'm so happy this is what we're talking about. I went to Jack in the Box. I got curly fries, and I got a cheeseburger. And I think I got a lemonade or something. Huh?
Like a jumbo jack?
I guess whatever the standard cheeseburger is.
It would be a jumbo jack.
Yeah.
I recommend the sourdough jack if you get a chance, a little pricey. Okay. And if you've heard of Jack in the Box tacos,
I know they exist, but I don't know anything about them.
I don't know if they're an acquired taste, but they're definitely not what you're thinking.
Okay.
Have you ever had a taco at Burger King?
No.
Okay. Well, it's like similar to that.
I don't know if those
Jack in the Box tacos are just grease.
Yeah.
With some hot lettuce in it. But when you grow up on this stuff, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then so try the tacos at Jack in the Box, but also try the cheeseburger at Del Taco.
Interesting. Now, there's not a lot of Del Tacos near me, which I'm very disappointed by because I really want Del Taco. When I went to Celebration, my ritual every morning was to get Del Taco. I got a breakfast burrito, and it was really good.
Have you ever ordered anything bold at Del Taco?
No.
Are you aware of this?
No.
Okay. Order anything at Del Taco.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then tell them to go bold.
Uh-huh.
It's an additional 70 cents, I think.
Okay.
And they will add sour cream and French fries to that item.
Oh, wow. So you're trying to kill me is what you're saying. You're just like
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is if you get the Del Beef burrito and go bold, it's beef, cheese, potatoes, and sour cream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently they'll literally do it to anything.
Wow.
So if you order a milkshake.
Oh, God.
I know. But apparently it's true.
Okay. It's good to know. Yeah, I will happily try it. I wish there were more near me. Don't do the
Steve says no on the Jack in the Box tacos.
Okay.
Hey, $2 for $1.
I mean, here's what I'll say. The cheeseburger, I was like, this feels like it's like I made this at my house, or I made this on my grill in the backyard. You know what I mean? Like it felt like a very good standard cheeseburger. It didn't feel too greasy. It didn't feel gross after eating it. Which I was happy by. Maybe that was a fluke.
It makes me happy that you're in California. You're in the Los Angeles area. You talk about Jack in the Box, earthquakes. You got your driver's license.
I did. Here's my old one, and guess what? They put a hole through it, right there. And I made sure the girl got me a good photo because I said I've been living with a terrible photo for 10 years. So I said, I need you physically to say that this is a good photo of me.
I hate the driver's test in California. I don't know what the other ones are like. Was it tougher?
You could take it 3 times, right? Before you have to repay for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I failed it twice. And it was I was on my last try before I'd have to spend another $40. It's hard.
I think I did it on my 4th. I think I had to pay again. Yeah. It's a tough, because the problem is they ask you questions about a trailer. Like if your car is towing a trailer, do you stop on railroad tracks? I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I'm never gonna do this. I'm never ever gonna do this.
Yeah.
The only reason I passed was because the questions that I got wrong on the first 2 times also popped up on the 3rd time, and I was like, oh, I remember what the answer is from the first time I failed this.
Well, when I went the 4th time, the guy who handed me the test knew, because I said, I'm like, this is my 4th time, I had to pay again, and picked a specific test because they have different tests.
There's
like A, B, C, D, E,
I didn't know.
F tests.
Mine was digital. Mine was not a.
Okay, this was 1996 or something.
Sure.
So he clearly handed me a paper that I was like, oh fuck, he gave me the easy one.
Yeah.
Like this is all questions about cars.
Yeah.
Because one of the questions on the C test was, as a pedestrian, you should blank. And I'm like, what? This is a driving test.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the driving test went off without a hitch.
But we did it, and we're here.
With the drive in California.
Finally.
James, we are still here. Live action Star Wars After Dark. I don't have my sunglasses on me. Do you? Yeah, I don't.
Oh!
Mine are still in the car from when I went to After Dark at Dynasty Typewriter. Which, by the way, Patrick has a new improv show called Untitled Improv Project.
Yeah.
It's at the Dynasty Typewriter every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. I really wanted to go to last week's.
This week's was real fun. We had Colin Hanks.
I didn't.
We don't have one this week. Well, you can come in person if you live in LA, but you can also stream it from home if you live anywhere else and want to see some fun live improv. A couple weeks ago, we had Michael Giacchino, who I feel like fans will love. Ralph was there. We're doing every week in February. We will be there. We've got a lot of really good comedians. A lot of, if you listen to Comedy Bang Bang or that that oeuvre of comedy podcasts. A lot of people from there. But yeah, you should check it out. Untitled Improv Project. If you Google it, it should come up. Am I just gonna do you want me to do plugs? Wait, I'm gonna tell you someone who's doing our next Lucas show.
Oh,
and it's a wild one.
So don't say it.
Don't say it.
So I haven't opened it yet. So this is the next George Lucas talk show, which will be
where? Be a live one happening? In New York in a couple in like a month and a half.
And you're taking the trip?
Do you know who this person is?
I haven't clicked it yet.
Okay.
But are you making the trip?
I will be.
Okay, I'm gonna open it up now to see who you're making the trip to.
Yeah.
Yes, I do know who that is.
Yeah.
Yes, I knew that.
Yes.
So I knew nothing about this person.
Yeah.
Until I saw a movie, a Brian De Palma movie for the first time.
Sure.
Maybe shares some connection to Star Wars. This movie. And that person is in it. And I'm like, oh, she's like an attractive person and is a very good I said it was a she.
Sure.
A good actress. I'm like, I wonder why I haven't seen them in more stuff.
Yeah. No spoilers.
But then like out of nowhere, I started seeing her, noticing her and show up in like conversation and stuff.
Yeah. It's a very, very weird one. That'll be a fun
and
chat.
And just knowing George.
Yes.
And George's friends. I can't imagine what the conversation is going to be. That's great. I don't know how you got that.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
James says that you can listen to Empire Strikes Back on the flight. I mean, if we can do that, if you want us to really like
end of March, I will do it. You just have to tell me when you want to do it.
Do an upcoming Data Link. I'm going to tell people that folks that listen to or watch Data Link. This is a YouTube exclusive. In 2 weeks, we're not doing a Data Link. Patrick, I don't know if you know this, but I'm just going to bring it up.
I don't.
But we are going to be doing, after a 2-year hiatus, our show Invincipod, which is a show that covers the Amazon series Invincible, which live action Star Wars is a offshoot of.
Oh my god!
Oh, this is the wrong one. So me and James did a show called Invincipod because we love Invincible. We watched the Amazon series, and they released 8 episodes, 6 episodes, something like that, and haven't for 2 years. And really early on, me and James were like, well, we like doing Invincipod, but who knows when the next one's going to happen? Like the next Invincible is going to happen. So, want to talk about Star Wars? And I'm like, let's talk about Star Wars, but I don't want to talk about the cartoons.
Sure.
So this whole show has been
funny.
filling in for that one. So they released the teaser. We want to chat about it.
Great.
And so in 2 weeks, go subscribe at Invincipod. Do I have a banner for it? Nope.
So silly.
I can create. Do I really need to create? Should I create? It takes a second. This is a thing. Okay. This is the thing. George Lucas Talk Show, when they do these live streams, you have like Jersey Dave or some other guys in the background being able to do all this shit. It's really tough.
Doing this. Tough when you're doing it by yourself. Yeah. I get it.
So
you're doing great.
James says go subscribe.
Yeah.
And do that.
I feel like James could have just stayed.
I'm waiting for James to just pop into the stream.
I don't think he's gonna.
Is he gonna get fired? They all know you do podcasts, dude.
All
right. This is definitely our long. No, this is not our longest episode, but it's pretty close.
Okay.
But we did me, James, and Jay Glatfelter from the Lost podcast with Jay and Jack.
Remember.
Did a rewatch or did a live watch of the holiday special.
Oh, sure. Sure.
And Disney cut out the Disney cut out the cartoon.
Oh, interesting.
But
because it's on Disney Plus, probably.
Yeah, and I was telling James earlier that the cartoon version of Han Solo in that holiday special is how I pictured this Han Solo in the radio drama.
Oh, interesting. Wait, let me show you. I don't know if you've seen this. Hang on.
He's got a R5D4 on your bottom shelf?
It is.
Yeah. And then I don't know what the
I don't know if I've ever shown you this. And this is related to what we're talking about right now. This is an original cell from the holiday special.
Oh, that's real good.
Isn't that cool?
That's a real good one. Because it also looks like something you'd see in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Mud Troopers or
it's cool as hell.
I don't know. That's really neat.
Yeah.
Anyway. James says that's dope.
Thank you, James.
He could probably just told you if he jumped in the
also,
stream.
Here's the fun thing. My parents came to our San Francisco show and they brought me bags of stuff that I didn't need. And this was one of the things. It's from 1990. It's from Halloween 1999.
Oh,
and
no.
It is my Darth Vader Halloween lightsaber. I don't want it. I don't need it. But it's now in my apartment.
Does it take batteries? It lights up, right?
It does take batteries. I can't imagine.
So what just take it to, I don't know if you could take it to the New York show. Do you have another show coming up where you can just give that out?
Oh, that's a good question.
Just give that
I don't know. I probably could take it to the New York show. Yeah, we'll see. I do like it does lock. Mm-hmm. So you can go like this without it coming out.
And you can do one blade.
Yeah, you can do one
so
blade.
Ben from the Dharmalars had that one. I had the Qui-Gon.
Sure.
Because we went to pick those up at Toys R Us like at midnight.
I was
in California.
I was 7.
I was very much out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
By 4 years out of high school.
Yeah. Anyways, I gotta go do work.
Me too. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad we got to talk about the radio drama somewhat.
Barely.
We'll get.
Barely.
I mean, I'm gonna schedule when our next.
I'm almost more
Empire
excited
Strikes
to talk about Empire just because none of us have heard it.
Yeah. And that'll be at 7:30 in the morning. We can. It usually doesn't flex unless James has the day off. Look, he's
maybe it's scheduled on a day he has the day off.
Yeah. He does have a day off. So this is in February 15th. We have an episode, and it is a couple days away from my birthday. Great. And he has the day off. And I'm just gonna fuck it. If anyone's watching it, they're gonna get spoiled, including James. I'm going to pick The Rise of Skywalker, and I'm gonna try to get Pete the Retailer and Chris Anthony Tan on because they like that movie. And I wanted to be a big ass love fest for that movie, which I love. I love that movie so much.
That'll be fun.
It's the most fast, most intense Star Wars.
God damn it. When you think about it like that, it makes me rethink everything. Where I'm like,
because when we first saw it, I came out of, I mean, we're going to talk about this in a while, next month, but when I came out, my head was like, it was like I saw Transformers.
Yeah.
But what's great is now when you watch it and you understand what's going on and your brain can process it, there's no sort of dips in entertaining.
Sure.
It just goes. It just goes.
I get it.
So we're gonna try to
here's what I'll say. There's a lot of stuff in it I like. I'll put it that way.
James is super excited.
That's great.
Mark Hamill plays an alien that gets its head cut off.
Boolio.
Like within the first 10 minutes.
I made a joke when I was working at Marvel. This was like right pre-pandemic. This probably would have been January 2020 that I wanted a Boolio cardboard cutout. And someone ordered one for the office. Yeah, win the war. Someone ordered one for the office. It never showed up, so they ordered a second one, and then they both showed up. So for like a 3-month span pre-pandemic, there were 2 Boolio cardboard cutouts in the Marvel offices in New York.
That's great. But also that happened with you on George Lucas Talk Show where someone made a shirt, send it to you, didn't know if it was going to come in time, and then FedEx the second one overnight or something, and then they both showed up like at the same time. Yeah. Alrighty, Patrick. I know we don't want to go work, but we probably should. I want to say,
dude,
mine's orange. I got that one. Orange one. Even the cord is orange.
Wow, look at that.
My computer is orange. I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat who joined us for this extended episode, especially like Jeremy Kelly went and listened to the radio drama.
Jeremy, was it worth it? Do you feel like we did it justice?
Based on his, I mean, he'll answer.
He's having fun, I think.
But based on his stuff.
Yeah.
But all right, we're gonna do dead air.
We have to wait until
Jeremy answers us. What if he's already at school?
Well worth it.
Well worth it. James wants to stream going. So I'm gonna say, I was gonna say, yeah, I should have just started, but in the chat somewhere, James did say, "Don't give in to hate," which my response is celebrate the love, and I hit the ending. So thank you again. This is it. Patrick, if you want to stick around through after the 30 seconds of closing credits, I can talk about something. I need to get Jeremy's thing down though, because it'll just sit there.
Celebrate the love. Celebrate the love. Can
I tell you one more thing? Is I actually like the special edition music more.
But
I still love
Jedi Rock or Yub Nub or whatever. Yeah. Sure.
But I still love Yub Nub. Okay. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us. I'm gonna say it. Don't give in to hate and celebrate the love. And you want to say punch it?
Yub Nub. Celebrate the love. Celebrate the love. Celebrate the love. Bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum.
You know what's fun is when I don't let the credits play through and I pop back in and catch. All right, thanks everybody. I'll see you in a second.
Punch it.